Kia ora everybody, this is Brigitte here. In the last tutorial, you got hopefully set up with Teams and you got used to kind of posting messages here. You probably got it custom with the chat channel, which allows you to message directly with people. And you probably saw notifications related to you coming in this activity tab. Now we're just going to go a little bit deeper into ways that we can use Teams. And I've had a few questions, especially related to files. Teams is quite a nice way of having your documents and having your files, just simply because it can be categorized according to the project that you're in. And it allows for incredible sharing and collaboration. So let's say we create a new document. You can come in here and create a new document, something like this. And now this document is saved on Teams and it's also available on our SharePoint server. And this makes it really nice for collaboration. So I can start writing some stuff in here. And if I want to kind of get out of this Teams environment, I can also click on here, open in desktop app. As you can see here, it's automatically opening Microsoft Word. Got to take a little bit of time for that to launch. And what this now does is it connects to the SharePoint server, our one from the DHB. And as you see here, we're in the same document. I can now make new changes to this document and I can save it. And all these changes should effectively persist. For example, if I resume editing here, should persist onto the main document. I can also, if I click here, open this document in browser, which as you see comes to our Northern Region SharePoint, and I can also edit this in browser. And why this browser component is very useful is I can take this link, copy it, go to my emails, and instead of attaching a file as an attachment, which is what we currently do, you can just send this link. And what this means is multiple people, can be modifying this document at the same time. You can see here, I am currently editing. There's currently two other people that are currently on this document. So this means that we could have 2 or 3 people effectively working on the same document simultaneously. You can see here, there's my cursor on this side, and if I keep adding stuff here, it auto-populates in here, and vice versa back. You can see the other PJ. There's 2, effectively right now there's 3 PJs on this document, but this works a little bit like Google Docs for those that are familiar with that. So this means that we don't need to worry about version controls and having to attach new versions and all this stuff. We just have a single document that is hosted on SharePoint, which is connected directly through Teams, which makes document collaboration, all this, significantly easier. Now, the second question I often get is related to how should we manage our files? So this really depends on what the project is. The first way of doing it is called dumping and running. So the general folder here is just a dump and run. We just toss everything into the main thing and run, which is fine. It's a perfectly legitimate way of doing file management for small or generic type projects. If we go to the well-being channel, for example, you might notice here that all the files in here have just been dumped by all the various people in this group, and then we run. We don't bother reorganizing or managing it, which is fine for small projects. At the moment, the well-being project is relatively small. If this grows into something much bigger, then we might start building up some sort of file structure to handle that better. For example, remote patient monitoring is kind of being designed to be a much more long-term structured project. So here we have kind of structured things a lot more nicely with different possible vendors, and we've also started using what's known as a 100-level folder structure system. Now, this is one of my favorite methods for long-term, heavy structured folders. For example, if I go to my personal computer, go to my documents, you notice that my documents are structured by this 100-level schema. So the first level is the company that I had been working for. So that was an older company. That was my own company I used to have, and this is where I'm working right now. And if we go in, this next level, for example, contains then sub-projects, and then it continues in. Now you might notice if I was in this prototype environment, 121 prototypes, if I didn't know, if I didn't have these hundreds, if this was just called prototypes, I don't know if this was what prototype this is. Is this, and for what company I am doing these prototypes for. But because of this 121, I know, 100 level, this is the Sustainable Architectural Group. The 120 is the Adaptive Solar Facade project. So if I'm in 121 prototypes, this must mean that I'm in the prototype folder for the Adaptive Solar Facade project in that company. So this is my personal computer, right? So this is how I structured myself, because it's my computer, which is long-term lasting. So I wanted something very structured. That's it. The advantage is that. The disadvantage is if you then want to change it. For example, if I say, actually, Waitemata, I want this to become I don't know, for some reason, I want to change this to 500, right? This then means I have to go through here, change that to 510, change that to 520. So it's a little bit annoying in that sense if you want to then make modifications down the line. So if a project is relatively young and you want to you want things to be moving, then I don't recommend it. But if you're going into something very solid and structured, I do recommend doing 100 level based things. So as you see, in the next level, I have no structure there because this is still relatively chaotic and relatively new. And once this starts to stabilize, I will then give these an equivalent, 421, 422, 423, etc., etc. Now, the next important thing is the wiki. So the next line down here, the wiki page, I strongly recommend this for just taking quick notes. So for example, if here I've just got a list of acronyms because I've been new to the group and I've been trying to get up to speed with all the acronyms that we have. Now I'm here just some information on Microsoft Teams, and here's a good place just to write down notes or very quick bits of information that you want to have publicly available. If we want meeting notes, there's a specific wiki specifically for that. So you can see here, related to the general channel, these were some old SWARM meetings. And if you want to create a new meeting, you click on here, you say, I like to do this. What are we now? 0611. And then here, I like to actually do participant, kind of agenda, notes, and then to-dos. Right, and then here you can say who was present, PJ, Prageet, and blah blah, whoever was there. Type in your agenda with your things, add your notes, and then you'd have like at Prageet to do, I don't know, do this. I spelled my name wrong. Right, something like that. Which is a nice way to record your meetings, and then that way when you go to your next meeting, you can actually just review the last to-dos you had in that project and then start the meeting fresh. And this kind of creates a nice minutes. It's a really nice way of actually storing minutes. Definitely recommend it. So let's delete that for now. Then next across, we have these, or Microsoft Planner. In fact, I'm going to go to the well-being group. So if you want to start up a to-do list, so we used that to-dos and meeting notes for a long period of time in this project. And then eventually we said, hey, you know what, we're getting quite a lot of to-dos now, so let's bring this into a planner. If we click up here, plus, to access a new app, this is Planner here, and it seems to be working quite well. I've been happy with it so far. So here you can kind of create tasks, so new task, and you can allocate these tasks to a bucket. So in this case, we have general tasks that need to be done. Here are development tasks that need to be done. And once you're done, you just tick it and it's gone. So this is a nice way of, you can allocate who owns the task or who needs to do it. And it's a nicer way of managing your to-dos. And you can kind of keep a nice tab of what is still needing to be done and what has been done. If we want to go next level, let's go to our ED project. Here, I've actually brought it all the way to a SCRUM. Now, SCRUM is a method of agile development. This is not really a pure agile development. It's a modification that I've made to, I think, a version of agile that I think works a little bit better for the environment that we're in. So here, one principle of agile, I might do another entire tutorial on agile separately, but in principle, in agile, no one is allocated a task. It's the responsibility of everybody within the agile team. So that's why there's no names. And it works in sprints. So here you got the current sprint that needs to be done. Here's what's currently in progress. As you know, there's 2 blocks at the moment, which is why I'm doing these videos, because I can't actually continue working on this until these blocks get undone. And then a review, and then once something is done, you just tick the box like before and it goes to done. And these sprints generally take 1 to 4 weeks. So what you do at the beginning of a sprint is you build your sprint as a meeting, physical meeting, for example. Then you say, cool, this is what we need to get done. We need to get all these things done by the end of next week, or by, in our case, I think Wednesday next week. These then move across, for example, into progress as they've been done. And once they're done, I'm just going to create a new test task in here, for example. So let's say we need to get something done. It sits in inbox. Once we decide that is now part of this current sprint, it moves into sprint. We then all agree on the sprint. Then we start working on the sprint. As I'm working on it, I move this into progress just to let people know that I'm actually currently working on this. So please don't start working on this. Seeing that there's no name allocation, this is quite important. I don't want us to, if I don't do this and just start working on this, multiple people might start working on this task at the same time, which is not very efficient. So now that's in progress, I've said, okay, cool, I'm working on this. And then once it's done, I click tick and it's gone. It's done. It's moved out through and it's gone into completion. So this is a more kind of structured and well, it's the agile way of doing task management, or the Prageet modified agile way of doing task management, because we're not really a startup company, so it's hard to do agile in its pure form. Yep, and that is it.